There is a very important stretch ahead for the Los Angeles Lakers, and the margin for error right now is incredibly small. The team finds itself in a position where every single game carries significant weight in the race for playoff positioning, and the upcoming matchup against the Denver Nuggets is the perfect example of that. This is not just another regular season game. It is the kind of matchup that can reshape the standings and completely change the trajectory of the Lakers' final weeks of the season. Right now, the Western Conference standings are incredibly tight, and the Lakers are sitting right in the middle of that chaos. At the moment, they occupy the 6th seed, but the gap between several teams above and around them is extremely narrow. A single victory can shift the order dramatically, and a loss can push a team down just as quickly. That is why this game against Denver carries such importance. If the Lakers manage to win, they not only secure the season tiebreaker against the Nuggets, but they also move ahead of them in the standings, which is a massive advantage as the regular season continues to wind down. The difference between finishing 6th and climbing into the top 4 is enormous. Securing a higher seed could mean home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs, something every team values when the postseason begins. The Lakers have been very clear about their priorities at this stage. The goal is not necessarily chasing the top overall seed or dominating the conference standings. The main objective is positioning themselves in a place where they can enter the playoffs with momentum and the best possible path forward. What makes the situation even more interesting is the fact that the teams surrounding the Lakers in the standings have their own challenges. Denver, for example, has been dealing with injuries, which has affected their consistency throughout the season. Meanwhile, the Lakers have recently been in a much better position health-wise, something that has allowed them to start building rhythm on both ends of the floor. Staying healthy from this point forward will be absolutely critical, because continuity is one of the most important factors for a team trying to peak at the right moment. Over the past several games, the Lakers have shown signs of improvement, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. The ball movement has looked sharper, the spacing has been better, and the team has been finding more efficient scoring opportunities. When this group plays with pace and confidence, they could be one of the more dangerous offensive units in the league. The challenge, however, has been maintaining that level of performance for a full game. One of the recurring issues this season has been the inability to consistently deliver 4 strong quarters. There have been too many games where the Lakers play well for stretches but allow momentum to slip away during key moments. Sometimes they start strong and fade in the middle of the game. Other times they struggle early and then try to rally late. While those bursts of energy can produce exciting finishes, relying on them is not a sustainable formula against the top teams in the conference. If the Lakers want to climb the standings and solidify themselves as a serious playoff threat, they must begin putting together complete performances from start to finish. That means staying focused defensively, executing offensively with discipline, and avoiding the lapses that have cost them games earlier in the season. The talent is clearly there, but the execution needs to match the potential. Another reason for optimism surrounding the Lakers is the schedule ahead. Compared to several of the teams they are battling with in the standings, the Lakers appear to have a more manageable path through the final portion of the season. That does not mean the games will be easy, but it does mean there is a real opportunity for the team to stack wins if they approach each matchup with the right level of urgency. Maintaining pace with teams like Minnesota will be particularly important. The Lakers have already performed well against them this season, and that head-to-head success could become extremely valuable if both teams finish with similar records. In scenarios like that, tiebreakers can determine playoff seeding, and every early victory suddenly becomes more meaningful. The same logic applies to the upcoming matchups against Houston as well. Those games will take place on the road, which adds another layer of difficulty, but they also present a chance for the Lakers to directly impact the standings. When teams competing for similar playoff positions face each other, the stakes automatically rise. Winning those games does not just add another victory to the record, it also prevents a rival from gaining ground. That is why this period of the schedule feels like such a defining moment. The Lakers are not chasing teams that are far ahead in the standings. Instead, they are right there in the middle of the race. Every result matters, and every game against a direct competitor becomes an opportunity to shift the balance. Despite the ups and downs throughout the season, the Lakers remain firmly in the playoff conversation. Many critics have been quick to question the team whenever things go wrong, pointing to inconsistent performances or difficult losses. Yet when you look at the standings and compare records across the conference, the gap between the Lakers and several of the teams above them is surprisingly small. In fact, the difference between being a middle seed and pushing toward the top four is often just a handful of games. That reality highlights how competitive the Western Conference has been all year long. Teams go through winning streaks and losing streaks, and the standings adjust constantly as a result. Because of that, the narrative around a team can sometimes be misleading. There's been a lot of talk about the Lakers struggling against stronger opponents, but when you compare their record against teams with winning records to some of the other contenders in the conference, the numbers are actually much closer than many people realize. The perception may be that certain teams are clearly superior, yet the results show that the gap is far from insurmountable. And that is exactly why this next stretch of games feels so critical for the Lakers. They have an opportunity to change the narrative surrounding their season and prove that they belong among the serious contenders in the Western Conference. The pieces are there, the standings remain within reach, and the schedule offers several direct battles that could define where this team finishes when the regular season finally comes to an end. The next several games will play a major role in determining exactly where the Lakers position themselves in the Western Conference. And that is why this upcoming stretch feels so intense. Within a short span, they will face multiple teams that are directly involved in the same playoff race. These are not just regular opponents on the schedule. These are the teams standing between the Lakers and a higher seed, and every result in these matchups could swing the standings in a meaningful way. When you look closely at the schedule ahead, the pattern becomes very clear. The Lakers will see Denver more than once. They will run into Minnesota again, and they will also face Houston in consecutive games on the road. That means several of the most important games left on the calendar are against the exact teams they're trying to catch or pass in the standings. In a tightly packed conference race, that type of schedule can either become a huge opportunity or a major obstacle, depending on how the team performs. The game against Denver stands out immediately because of how much it could impact the standings. A win there would not only give the Lakers another important victory, but it would also create separation and strengthen their position in any potential tiebreaker scenario. That type of advantage can become extremely valuable when the season reaches its final days and teams are separated by only a game or even half a game. However, the Lakers cannot afford to think about just one game. One of the dangers during a stretch like this is celebrating a big win and then losing focus in the very next matchup. That is why maintaining consistency becomes so important. If the Lakers manage to beat a team like Denver, but then drop a game against another opponent shortly after, much of that momentum disappears immediately. That is why games against teams like Indiana become just as important. Even though those matchups may not directly impact the Western Conference standings in the same way, they still represent opportunities that cannot be wasted. If the Lakers want to build a serious push toward the top four, they need to collect victories in the games they are expected to win while also competing strongly in the tougher matchups. Momentum also plays a major role at this stage of the season. The Lakers recently put together a small winning streak, and extending that run could make a significant difference in the overall confidence of the group. Winning 3 games in a row is a positive sign, but turning that into 5 or more would send a much stronger message about the direction this team is heading. Confidence often grows when a team begins stacking victories, and that is something the Lakers need right now. When players feel that rhythm and chemistry developing, the execution on the court tends to improve naturally. Offense becomes more fluid, defensive communication sharpens, and the overall energy of the team rises. Another factor that continues to shape the Lakers' outlook is the improvement they have shown offensively over the past several weeks. Their scoring efficiency has climbed, and the team has started generating more reliable offensive production. When a team reaches that level of offensive rhythm, it creates pressure on opponents who are forced to keep pace throughout the game. At the center of that offensive dynamic are the key playmakers who control the tempo and decision-making on the floor. When the Lakers stars are orchestrating the offense effectively, the entire system opens up. Shooters find better looks, cutters get cleaner lanes to the basket, and the defense is constantly forced to react instead of dictating the action. Even so, the Lakers still need more consistent performances from several players within the rotation. One name that stands out in this conversation is Austin Reeves. His ability to create offense, handle the ball under pressure, and contribute in crucial moments has been extremely valuable for the team. But like many players during a long season, he has experienced stretches where the production has dipped. Finding that rhythm again will be an important part of the Lakers maintaining their offensive momentum. The encouraging part is that the team has already shown flashes of what it can look like when everything clicks. In several recent games, the Lakers have ranked among the top offensive teams over a multi-game span, which shows the potential they possess when the ball movement, shot selection, and spacing all come together. Defensively, the situation has also shown signs of improvement, although there is still room for growth. The Lakers have managed to tighten their defensive rotations and communicate more effectively, which has helped limit opponents during key stretches. That progress may not always appear dramatic on paper, but those subtle improvements can make a huge difference in close games. Interestingly, when comparing defensive rankings across some of the teams battling in the same area of the standings, the differences are not nearly as large as many people assume. Several of these teams are separated by only small margins in defensive efficiency, which means that offense and late-game execution could ultimately become the deciding factors. That brings the conversation back to one of the Lakers' most intriguing strengths this season, their ability to perform in clutch situations. When games remain close entering the final minutes, the Lakers have often looked extremely confident and composed. Their decision-making in those moments, along with their ability to generate key shots, has allowed them to close out games that might have slipped away in previous seasons. That particular strength could become even more valuable once the playoffs arrive. Postseason basketball is known for tight finishes, slower possessions, and intense defensive pressure. Teams that can execute in those closing moments often gain a significant advantage. In previous playoff matchups, the Lakers experienced the frustration of seeing close games slip away against strong opponents. There were series where they built early leads, controlled long stretches of the game, and still ended up losing because they could not finish the final minutes with the same level of execution. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, the league's rumor mill is spinning at full speed after whispers emerge that the Los Angeles Lakers may have dramatically increased their offer in pursuit of one of basketball's most coveted stars, Jason Tatum. According to sources close to the situation, the California franchise believes it has finally heard the long-awaited yes, potentially prying the superstar away from the Boston Celtics in what would be one of the most shocking moves in recent NBA history. Nothing is official, and silence reigns from all sides, but insiders describe a bold maneuver. The Lakers, long known for their aggressive approach to star acquisition, are said to have sweetened the package significantly, adding future flexibility, young assets, and a vision centered on immediate contention. The pitch reportedly goes beyond numbers and contracts, touching on legacy, global exposure, and the chance to lead the league's most iconic franchise into a new era. For Boston, the situation is delicate. Tatum is more than a cornerstone. He is the face of a generation, a symbol of continuity and ambition. The mere suggestion that he could be tempted elsewhere has sent shockwaves through fan circles and front offices alike. Some executives around the league believe the Celtics would resist any overture, while others argue that a truly overwhelming offer forces even the proudest organizations to listen. What adds fuel to the speculation is the timing. Around the league, there is a growing sense that power dynamics may be shifting and that the Lakers are determined not to be left behind. If Tatum were to trade green for purple and gold, it would instantly reshape expectations, rivalries, and narratives. For now, it remains a rumor, tantalizing, explosive, and impossible to ignore. Yet in a league where whispers often become reality overnight, few are dismissing this one as mere noise. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.